It's time to sharpen your swords and bring out your best fighting styles as Double Dragon makes its glorious return on the Super Nintendo, and this time it's been totally reimagined as a 2D Street Fighter inspired beat 'em up and now takes a lot of its source material from the short-lived 90s cartoon series. You can play as familiar faces Billy and Jimmy Lee, and they are joined by a cast of humorous characters which add a lot of depth and variety to the playable roster. Before playing this game, I was expecting Leland Interactive, the developers, to add in some old school favourites like Abobo, Linda or even TaiMei, but what we have here is an all new cast, and to be honest I really enjoyed the over the top humour that each character displayed, and their moves are an intentional nod and wink to other fighting games popular at the time. Double Dragon 5 follows the tried and tested tournament formula in which players can choose from new brawlers such as the heavy hitting Jawbreaker, the female ninja Sekka, the cold as ice Sub-Zero inspired Ice Pick, the over the top Trigger Happy, or how about the undead Bones who uses his head as a weapon. Whoever you choose, you are then randomly taken around Metro City where all the fights take place, and you work your way through its various locations, beating all the other contenders until you get to meet the final boss himself, the Shadow Master, who according to Wikipedia plans to unleash a plague upon the world. I did try and see if there was some kind of coherent storyline and even found the official manual online, but it doesn't mention anything about the plot or the just explains how to play in a comic book style. There are two one-player modes which essentially are basically the same, some two-player modes. There's tournament mode whereby you fight your way again across Metro City in order to destroy the Shadow Master, and there's quest mode. Now this second mode does actually contain a plot in that Jimmy Lee, who was the Shadow Master's right hand man, left the evil organisation to form the Double Dragons with his brother Billy Lee. And now old Shad is looking for a new apprentice to whom he can teach his evil sorcery too. Before each fight, the twisted Shadow Master taunts and challenges you until you eventually get to fight him. Should you be victorious, then the pony trekking holiday in Ullswater will be yours. Only joking. Win and you become his right hand man or woman, and together you can rule the world. Sorry, what is wrong with me today making all of these references? The gameplay is really solid and again borrows a lot from Street Fighter 2 in how you control and move. There's a cheeky Blanca reference and also an E-Honda style move which replaces the 100 hand slap with blades. Also, Ice Pick uses an ice projectile like Sub-Zero does in Mortal Kombat, and whilst most may cry out rip off, I thought it was really well done. They do say that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, and a lot of fighting games at the time were trying to emulate or even try and surpass the big names, and Double Dragon 5 is certainly no different. Anyone familiar with the big named fighters will have no problems with the control style, as each attack is assigned to a particular button from weak to strong attacks, and I especially liked the Lee brothers as their sword attacks gave me the edge time and time again, pushing my opponents back, allowing me to be victorious. What I also like about Double Dragon 5 though is that fights can last a lot longer in this game, and the AI does feel a little bit more balanced on normal mode, meaning that even me, who is terrible at beat 'em ups, can actually pull off some wins. Whilst the CPU will spam you as expected, it isn't wholly overdone, and battles can turn into some excellent back and forth encounters. Before each fight you can even toggle your character's abilities and assign points to a few areas to achieve greater strength or defense, and also how many special moves you can pull off at a time. This was a great feature and I haven't seen this done in any beat 'em ups during this era. Most of the time though I didn't mess with the points too much and tried to get my fighter as well rounded as possible, opting for a little more strength so I could dole out a little more damage than normal. Win and you get to taunt your opponent, lose and you are on the receiving end of one. Graphically, Double Dragon 5 looks incredible with some highly detailed sprite work and backgrounds. You do of course get the backgrounds of people watching the fight occur and cheering, and the locations, whilst not as good as in other fighting games, is still interesting. I liked how the developers made the Shadow Master's lair the final boss encounter, so while this game does borrow from the cartoon, it did at least also try and weave in some of the previous games a little bit. Also, each of the fighters move really well, and within the roster you're sure to find a fighter you can gel with. The best part is when a fighter is defeated, he or she will disintegrate, melt or become skeletons. I know we've seen it all before, but this game opts for a more light-hearted approach and is animated in a way that won't cause any disgust or outrage. Music and sound are also exemplary and contain enough tracks here to spice things up to give the player some variety whilst fighting through the mean streets of Metro City. The title screen even plays almost a new Double Dragon theme with the Shadow Master looming underneath the title, letting you know that he means business and he is the main antagonist in the game. Many reviews of Double Dragon 5 were mixed. Some praised its visual style and its imitation of other fighting games as decent, whilst others dismissed it as just another Street Fighter clone, which I do kind of agree with. Again, the way you move and attack is pretty much the same, and whilst admittedly it does lack the depth, brightness and character development of Street Fighter 2, it does at least provide a decent fighting mechanic that is a nice pick up and play alternative that is more of a tongue-in-cheek version. Street Fighter 2 fans playing this will probably have seen it all before with the combat and gameplay, which is still of a high standard, mind you. I do feel however that there's enough humour and fun here to provide the player with some enjoyment. Whilst I am a massive fan of Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, I really enjoyed my time with Double Dragon 5. Despite mixed opinions, it's a solid 2D beat 'em up that may not have the bells and whistles of its contemporaries, but I still feel it's well worth playing today. Okay, I just want to say thank you very much for watching my review, and I'll see you next time.